Welcome to Nikki's Nightmares, where chilling tales come to life. In today's terrifying story, we explore some of the most haunted and mysterious locations on Earth, from the decaying dolls of Isla de las Muñecas to the vanishing wilderness of the Alaska Triangle and the cursed, reality-bending depths of Hoia Baciu Forest. These are places where people don't just feel fear, they experience it. Disappearances without a trace, whispers with no source, shadows that seem to move when nothing else does. From documented cases to chilling eyewitness accounts, these locations blur the line between the natural world and something far more unsettling lurking just beneath it. If you love scary stories, paranormal encounters, and true horror experiences, you're in the right place. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join me as we delve into the deep, dark, and the mysterious. Across the world, there are places that seem to resist explanation, locations where history, tragedy, and something far more unsettling converge. They are not just destinations marked on a map. They are environments shaped by isolation, fear, and events that leave behind more questions than answers. Individually, each of these locations can be examined through history, psychology, and environmental science. But together, they reveal a pattern. Places where something lingers just beyond our understanding, where documented events blur into legend, and where the line between the natural and the unknown begins to erode. Are these experiences the result of extreme environments and human perception under stress? Or are they evidence of something far more difficult to explain? The island of dolls that watches you back. Just south of Mexico City, hidden within the ancient canals of Xochimilco, lies a small, isolated island that was never meant to be a destination. Known as Isla de las Muñecas, it is a place shaped by tragedy, obsession, and a legend that refuses to fade. At first glance, the island appears quiet, almost peaceful. But that illusion quickly unravels, because hanging from nearly every tree are dolls, hundreds of them. Their bodies are broken, their limbs severed, their faces cracked and weathered by time. Some are missing eyes entirely, while others seem to stare endlessly outward, frozen in expressions that feel disturbingly aware. Even in the brightness of day, the island carries an unnatural weight. And when the light begins to fade, that weight deepens into something far more unsettling. The legend begins with a man named Don Julian Santana Barrera, the island's caretaker. At some point in the mid-20th century, he left behind his family and chose to live alone on this remote stretch of land. His reasons remain unclear, but what followed would define the island forever. Not long after arriving, Julian claimed to have discovered the body of a young girl, drowned under mysterious circumstances in the surrounding canal. He was unable to save her. The event left a lasting mark on him, one that would slowly evolve into something far more obsessive. Shortly after the discovery, a doll floated through the canal waters. Believing it belonged to the girl, Julian retrieved it and hung it from a tree as a gesture of respect, or perhaps as an attempt to calm whatever spirit he believed remained. But the presence did not leave. According to Julian, the spirit of the girl lingered, watching, pressing in on him. So he began collecting more dolls. He scavenged them from trash heaps, pulled them from the canals, and gathered them wherever he could find them. One by one, he hung them across the island. What started as a single offering became a ritual that lasted decades. Over the course of nearly 50 years, the island transformed into something unrecognizable, a forest of lifeless faces, each doll suspended in various states of decay. Some hung intact, Others were missing heads, arms, or torsos. The effect was deeply unsettling, as if the island itself had become a shrine to something unseen. Stories began to spread. Visitors claimed the dolls were not entirely still. Some reported seeing them move, subtle shifts of the head, the flicker of an eye opening, the slow rotation of an arm when no wind disturbed the trees. Others claimed to hear whispers drifting between them, as though the dolls were communicating in low, secretive voices. There were even accounts from those passing by in boats who felt drawn toward the island, as if something was calling them closer. Skeptics argue these experiences are nothing more than imagination, fueled by the island's disturbing appearance and its isolating atmosphere. Some even question whether the drowned girl ever existed at all, suggesting that Julian, living in prolonged solitude, may have created the story himself. But regardless of belief, one detail remains undeniable. In 2001, after decades of living among the dolls, Don Julian Santana Barrera was found dead. He had drowned, and the location where his body was discovered was the exact same spot where he had always claimed to have found the girl. Since his death, the island has drawn increasing attention. What was once a place of isolation has become a destination for those curious enough to witness it firsthand. Visitors travel through the canals, bringing dolls of their own, adding to the growing collection, continuing a ritual that began long before them. The island has also been explored by paranormal investigators, including an episode of Ghost Adventures led by Zach Bagans, where one of the dolls reportedly emitted sound despite having no apparent power source. To this day, many believe the dolls are more than objects. Some say they are vessels, inhabited not just by one spirit, but by many. Others believe the island itself has become something else entirely, a place where grief, isolation, and something unknown have fused together. Because on Isla de las Muñecas, the silence is never truly empty, and the eyes never stop watching. Into the Alaska Triangle. Welcome to a place where the map offers no comfort, and the wilderness seems to watch you back. Stretching across the vast, untamed expanse of Alaska lies a region known as the Alaska Triangle, a remote area connecting Anchorage, Juneau, and Utqiagvik. It is a land of towering mountain ranges, dense forests, frozen lakes, and endless wilderness. A place where nature feels less like a backdrop and more like a presence. And in this unforgiving landscape, people don't just get lost, they vanish. What makes the Alaska Triangle so unsettling isn't simply its harsh terrain, it's the sheer number of disappearances. Thousands of people have gone missing here over the years, many without a single trace left behind. No wreckage, no footprints, no bodies, just silence. One of the most chilling cases dates back to 1972. A small private aircraft carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs disappeared somewhere between Juneau and Anchorage. What followed was one of the largest search and rescue operations in American history. Dozens of military aircraft and civilian planes combed over 32,000 square miles of wilderness for more than a month. They found nothing, no debris, no signal, no explanation. It was as if the plane had simply ceased to exist, and it wasn't an isolated incident. A man named Paul Lemaitre vanished under circumstances just as disturbing. At 65 years old, he was completing his first marathon. He had reached the final stretch, only about 200 feet from the finish line. He handed off his race number to an official, and in that short distance, he disappeared. Search teams, dogs, and rescue experts scoured the area. But despite how small the search zone was, no trace of him was ever found. Not a footprint, not a piece of clothing, nothing. Then there was Alan Foster, an experienced pilot with nearly 10,000 hours of flight time. In 2013, shortly after takeoff, his aircraft dropped to a low altitude and then vanished from radar. There was no distress call, no sign of mechanical failure, just an abrupt silence where a signal once was. Neither he nor his plane have ever been recovered. Even those who set out prepared for the wilderness are not immune. Inventor Richard Griffiths ventured into Alaska to test a survival cocoon of his own design, a device meant to protect him in extreme conditions. Months passed before anyone realized he was missing. Investigators traced his last known movements to a remote lodge near the White River. After that, he was never seen again. Cases like these continue to stack up, and by the numbers, they are impossible to ignore. Since 1988, more than 16,000 people have gone missing within the Alaska Triangle. The disappearance rate is more than twice the national average, and the number of people never found is even higher. For some, the explanation is simple. Alaska is massive. Much of it remains untouched, unexplored. Its terrain is brutal, filled with hidden crevasses, unstable glaciers, and sudden violent weather. Snowstorms can bury entire aircraft within hours. A wrong step, a miscalculation, or a slight navigation error could mean the difference between survival and disappearing forever. Compasses in the region are known to behave unpredictably due to magnetic declination, sometimes throwing travelers off course by as much as 30 degrees. In a place where every direction looks the same, that small error can lead you somewhere you can't return from. But for others, those explanations feel incomplete. There are whispers of something else lurking beneath the surface. Some believe the Alaska Triangle contains powerful energy vortexes, distortions in the natural world that can disrupt navigation, time, or even reality itself. Others point to the region's reputation as a hotspot for UFO sightings, suggesting something not entirely human may be responsible. And then there are the stories passed down by the indigenous Tlingit people, legends of portals, of gateways between worlds, and of a creature known as the Kushtaka, a shape-shifting entity said to mimic human voices, luring travelers deeper into the wilderness before they vanish without a trace. A predator that doesn't hunt with claws, but with deception. Whether these stories are warnings, myths, or something far more real, no one can say for certain, because the truth is buried beneath layers of ice, time, and silence. In the end, the Alaska Triangle remains one of the most mysterious regions on Earth, a place where logic begins to falter, where explanations fall short, and where people continue to disappear. No answers, no closure, just an endless wilderness and the unsettling feeling that something out there doesn't want to be found. And maybe the most disturbing question of all isn't what's happening inside the Alaska Triangle. It's whether anyone who enters it ever truly leaves. Hoia Baciu, enter if you dare. Just outside Cluj-Napoca, deep within the region of Transylvania, lies the unnerving expanse known as the Hoia Baciu Forest, a place so saturated with legend, fear, and unexplained phenomena that many have come to call it the Bermuda Triangle of Romania. At first glance, it looks like something pulled straight from a Gothic nightmare. Twisted trees bend at unnatural angles, their trunks contorted as if trying to escape the soil itself. A thick, lingering fog drapes over the forest floor, swallowing sound and distorting distance. It's the kind of landscape that feels wrong, familiar, but not quite natural. It's no surprise this region helped inspire the haunting atmosphere behind Dracula, a world where darkness lingers just beneath the surface. But Hoia Baciu isn't just a setting for fiction. It has its own history and its own stories. According to local legend, the forest takes its name from a shepherd who vanished here centuries ago, along with his flock of 200 sheep. No remains were ever found. No explanation was ever given. He simply disappeared, and he may not have been the last. For decades, stories have circulated of people entering the forest and never coming back. While there is no confirmed scientific record to support these disappearances, the stories persist, passed quietly from one generation to the next, because something about this place doesn't let go easily. In 1968, the forest's reputation took a darker turn. A military technician named Emil Barnea claimed to have captured photographs of a strange, hovering object above the trees, a smooth, disc-like form suspended in the air. The images spread quickly, drawing international attention and turning Hoia Baciu into a magnet for UFO enthusiasts and paranormal investigators alike. Even now, visitors report seeing unexplained lights drifting between the trees, glowing orbs that appear in photographs but remain invisible to the naked eye. But whatever is here, it doesn't always stay at a distance. Those who enter the forest often describe something far more personal, an overwhelming sense of being watched, a sudden spike in anxiety with no clear source, nausea, headaches, the feeling that something is standing just behind you, even when you know you're alone. Some claim their phones and cameras fail without warning, batteries draining instantly, devices shutting off as if something unseen is interfering. Others report hearing whispers drifting through the trees, voices with no origin, no direction, no source. And then there are the physical encounters, scratches appearing on the skin, the sensation of unseen hands pushing or grabbing or guiding, moments where something touches you and there is nothing there. At the center of the forest lies one of its most disturbing features, a near-perfect circular clearing known as Poiana Rotunda. For over 200 years, nothing has grown within this space. The soil has been tested, studied, analyzed, yet no clear explanation has ever been found. It is a dead zone, silent, still, and many believe it is the epicenter of whatever is happening here. Visitors report heightened paranormal activity within the circle, stronger electromagnetic readings, more frequent sightings of apparitions, and an almost suffocating pressure in the air, as if the forest itself is holding its breath. But perhaps the most chilling story tied to Hoia Baciu is the one that defies time itself. A young girl is said to have wandered into the forest and vanished. Search teams found nothing. Days passed, then weeks, then years. 5 years later, she returned, alive, wearing the exact same clothes, and with no memory of where she had been. No explanation has ever been confirmed. No evidence has ever clarified what happened. Only the story remains, lingering like the fog between the trees. Today, Hoia Baciu has become a global hotspot for what's known as dark tourism. Ghost hunters, thrill seekers, and skeptics alike venture into its depths, hoping to witness something unexplainable. Some leave unchanged, others don't. Because whether it's psychological, environmental, or something far more disturbing, the forest has a way of getting inside you, and once it does, it doesn't always let you go. So the question remains, is Hoia Baciu simply a forest shaped by folklore and fear, or is it something else entirely? A place where reality bends, where time fractures, and where something ancient, still lingers in the dark. The story ends here, but the terror does not. Join me again, like, comment, and subscribe if you dare.